sufficient, and they have 20 to 30, maybe more than that, applicants, and they only have enough money this year for 2 zones. So the chances, you have to get chosen first. But if we are chosen, they ask you to commit to a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit within the zone, 20-foot corner clearances, which are somewhat controversial because it drives scarce parking to install them. So it's uncertain how the city would approach on a Division 0 program, would approach that, but maybe on a block-to-block basis. But it's one of the things that they say will happen, 20-foot road clearances, 20-mile-per-hour zones. And then speed cushions are an option, a calming tool, a traffic calming tool, an option that would be more likely than some of the other options, but it would only happen with the agreement of the neighborhood. In fact, this whole thing is contingent on a consensus in favor of moving ahead. This isn't a strict majority vote or an up and down vote, Democratic vote. The city wants to see more than that, and if there's significant dissension, my feeling is they're not going to proceed. But we're a ways from that at this point. I think March 1st, they will choose the semifinalists. A month later, I was told today, they might choose the finalists. And there will be 2 finalists. And when they do that, they're going to mount a real collaborative effort. The city is going to send its people out to the streets department in the Vision 0 program to work with the neighbors, to do walkthroughs, to go on a block-by-block basis to discuss how traffic movement might be improved. And that's about it. So we have to get chosen first, and then we'll see. And all along the way, there will be an opportunity to reject this if enough people are against it. And I would say a significant minority, doesn't have to be a majority, just a significant minority could review it. Right now, I would put over a meeting of the East Falls Community Council. I would say that there was some dissension, particularly over the code clearances, the 20-foot corner clearances. But there was heated argument on both sides for it. Some people really want that. So we'll see.
Okay. So one thing that I thought might be of interest, I actually reached out to I can't remember her last name, Charlotte Castle. She is the head of the Vision 0 program for Philly.
Right.
And I asked her specifically, I said, well, I'd like to know, since it's such a large area we're talking about, and since it's going to have such a big impact on the community, particularly not only in the zone itself, but adjoining areas. And as you know, whenever you put one of these zones in, people start finding ways to get around it, find other ways to do it. So there's other people affected. So in my mind, I think, well, let's cast the widest possible net and try to get as much input as we can on this. I asked Charlotte because she said, well, once we start to decide and narrow down who the finalists are, we're going to come to a meeting and kind of gauge the community approval of these zones. And I said, well, what does that entail? Is that a survey? Is that, how do we know who's for and who's against it? She said there are no data points, basically. So to me, I think it's going to be sort of a DIY thing on our part. I'd like to send out a survey to East Falls Forward membership, and I'd also like to create a poll of some kind, because I think that data is needed on this. I think it's needed to present to the Vision 0 reps and show them, yes, we approve it this much, or we don't, or it's close. She said, great. She gave me her email. She said she'll include that with the file. I'm not sure exactly what that means or how much it will weigh in on the decision. But again, I think it's a big enough and significant enough change in this area that, as many voices as possible should be included.
Speaking for myself and not for the East Falls Community Council, I would suggest that that kind of survey, which is needed, should wait until we are chosen as a finalist. I don't think it makes sense to do it now because we don't really know. We know generally there are major goals, but there are a whole lot of tools that they're suggesting could be used. Raised crosswalks, new signage, murals, gateways, announcing as you enter the zone that you're entering a slow zone. And we're not near that point yet, so I mean that would be my suggestion.
There was a question I had, it just slipped my mind, but I will probably come to me. Did anyone have any questions, comments?
My only protest about the speed bumps is you gotta have like 4 per block when you do put them in there. You know, I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple.
Right.
And then, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't want a drag race.
right.
I just don't want to go on a roller coaster ride either.
Right.
There are specifications for that. You say 4 per block?
I'm being hyperbolic.
Yeah. Because I'm not.
But I do drive a smart car, so. Big bag of smart.
That's where might be negotiable too. I know in Schoolhouse Lane they are at a very specific distance, and Kumo too. There are specified distances, but in this proposed zone, the streets the blocks are rather short, and they don't go to Ainsley and Sunnyside, whether you would move it to Sunnyside, I don't think. I don't know, Joe. I think that would be negotiable. I've never heard you have to have so many per block.
Well, I think it is flexible because remember on Schoolhouse Lane they had a whole bunch.
They had a whole bunch.
And they got rid of the ones where the kids are crossing.
Yeah.
And they did the other one.
Well, they got rid of that because there was a lot of opposition to what happened on Schoolhouse Lane from neighbors who said they weren't properly informed. Speaking of the poll, you find out what people think in advance, and there was some of that. That was city initiated. I mean, I think there were people on Schoolhouse Lane and Appalachian Road who were impressed with them. But that was really one of the city's first ventures into putting speed cushions on. And because of the controversy that resulted from that, they then said, and it maintains today, that if you want to put speed cushions on a block, I'm not talking about the slow zones, don't suffer, but if you ask the city to put speed cushions in a neighborhood, they want 70% approval from the residents in the blocks that are affected. And that came out of the Schoolhouse Lane controversy.
I follow you.
There's a
It's flexible. It's good that it's flexible.
it's the hill that matters, the curves.
Yeah. That's the question I had. Have they done slow zones in any other area of the city, or this is going to be their first venture?
Well, I think these are the first 2.
Okay.
They don't have money for 2 this year. No, I don't think they have.
Okay.
They've done them in New York. I mean, Vision Zero isn't just Philadelphia. It's a nationwide program. I think New York is far ahead of us.
New York's been going on for years.
Yeah, I was just thinking of if there's some other community nearby that's had experience, we could learn something from them. But this is the first 2.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I'm pretty sure we're the first.
And Steve, I know you said Midvale, Henry, Indian Queen. Is there anywhere where this is like mapped out with a description of what kind of the plan is?
John, you might have that.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Well, I'm just like I hear what you guys are talking about, but if I want to go and like look at this,
Could we put it on Google Earth right now?
Hey, Ryan, can you pull up Google Maps of East Falls so we can take a look at the boundaries?
Ridge Avenue, Indian Queen Lane, Henry Avenue, and Midvale. Midvale, here. So it's all in here. There are a lot of transverse streets in here going in the east-west direction.
Probably are all
Narrow. They're all roadhouse bound streets. I think most of them are. Or maybe not Indian Queen Lane. And the boundaries are excluded from remediation. The city will not Under the slow zone program, Midvale Avenue, Ridge Avenue, major roads, Henry Avenue, which is a PennDOT road, there are arterial routes. The only one that's not a boundary road would be Indian Queen Lane, but it's going to service a boundary here. The boundary roads, the city is not touching under this program. That's where most of the problems are. Henry Avenue, you all know about the problems on Henry Avenue. That's being treated as a subject of a long study by the state. In another year and a half or 2 years, perhaps we're going to see significant changes on Henry Avenue. Not as much as some people would like, but there are going to be very significant changes by PennDOT. And they already have the money for that. Midvale Avenue is another major road that needs consistent attention and really hasn't gotten it. But that has to be treated separately. Even though it's going to be the boundary here, it's not going to be treated under the slow. You will enter the slow zone from Midvale, from Henry, from Indian Queen, from Ridge. Ridge Avenue has its own challenges. That's basically it. No major road, not even a road with a center line, with a painted center line. That cannot serve. This is strictly residential. The focus is almost exclusively residential. They won't treat the border roads or the boundaries, but you will enter the residential areas from those. So that's the way they've arranged this. And I questioned it, and I got a lot of questions the other night about it. It's simply they won't treat them.
So just to be clear, you're basically saying it does not affect Henry, Midvale, or Indian Queen Lane at all?
No.
It affects...
Henry is being treated by PennDOT. Midvale, if you want change on Midvale, you've got a batter streets department to come out and do something. And there are many things they won't do for good reasons. From a traffic point of view, they don't think they would help. You know, Midvale's a congested commuter route in the morning, and it's terrible. And people don't like that, but you know what? The city hasn't come up with that. I'm not sure what you could do.
My only complaint is I have the house right in Midvale. My complaint is that people run that red light when I get across the street.
At where?
They run the red light right up here.
Oh,
all the
you're
time.
right, okay.
I've almost been hit there twice. That's my only thing, some kind of enforcement.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, you're listening to Dixie.
I agree with it, but...
Somebody said, you told me that to look at the 39th District Daily Log.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of those. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I have in my mind that was making a story too. You've probably already done it. But yeah, cops aren't going to come out and chase them.
Did you have something on the curb that we were trying to do at one point? I thought Rumble
Yeah,
strips
we
was
were
raised
trying, and
up.
that was turned down. What was that? That was the raised crosswalk? Or,
Yeah, right here at the...
They, as I recall, there's also a bus stop there on either side.
Yeah.
They won't do that there at the bus stop. That was their reason. I don't remember what they did, but that was.
Years ago, they put rumble strips on,
Warden Drive, they have rumble strips at the top, or they used to, maybe they're still there on Midvale, as you approach Walks. Are there rumble strips there?
they do.
That's a dangerous curve. Now that's where people who live on the blocks, on the corner of Walks and Midvale want the corner clear, the 20-foot corner clearances. And one guy the other night was adamant. You know, he was so angry that this other guy was against them.
They're less punishing than cushions. I mean, cushions are trying to punish you for it. Rumble strips are letting you know. I don't think everybody needs to be punished.
The other thing to know, people confuse speed bumps and speed cushions. There's a big difference. You really know when you go over a speed bump. It jolts the car, it damages the undercarriage if you're going fast enough. Where the way the speed cushions are designed, with the track down the middle, or the gully down the middle, it allows you to go with only one set of tires on the car. You get used to that. I've gotten used to Schoolhouse Lane, and it no longer bothers me if it ever bothers me. They're low elevation. They have a curved structure that makes it pretty easy to go over. But, you know, if you're not used to them and you've never seen them before, you're going to slow down. You get used to them after a while, and you won't slow down as much, which is the point. I think they've worked pretty well. People are used to them on Schoolhouse Lane and used to them on Queen Lane. Whether people want speed cushions on every street